Good morning.
Good morning, Gary.
Carlos, tell me your name and tell me about what it is that you're here to do today.
Yeah, so my name is Carlos Pacheco. I am originally from Brazil.
Okay.
I've been in the States for about 25 years now.
Okay.
And I'm here to learn more about what you're doing here. Hopefully share my story, because I think what I did I'm very proud of so far. And I have no idea where it's going, but I think there's a lot.
Best adventure.
Absolutely. And that's what I like. That's what wakes me up, gets me up in the morning.
So tell me about the adventure getting here 25 years ago.
Yeah, so that was I have a Cuban mom and a Brazilian dad for Brazil. So two brothers, a brother and a sister, and I'm the middle child. And in 1991, the president of Brazil decided to freeze every bank account in the country. I remember Fernando Collor. And luckily at that point, my dad was an executive at GE. And my mom had made sure that we all had dual citizenship because she had become, she was naturalized in the States back in the 70s.
Yep.
So they said, guess what, guys? 6 months, we're going to sell everything we have here. We're going to move to Miami because my mom always knew we were going to. Had to leave Brazil because of the economy there.
Yeah.
So I loved coming here to visit my grandparents and going to Disney and things like that. So I say, let's do it. I was 14. So when I get here, my mom gave us an intensive 6-month English class.
Sure.
Just to get the basics. But I was already going to an American nun school there in Brazil. So I had some good basics. So get here. I've always went to private schools in Brazil. Here we had to start from scratch. Stayed in for a week in a family's apartment, and no time my parents found a house down in Kendall to rent. And 2 weeks later, I was already in middle school. I was Brazilian, so there's a lot of I walk into our ESOL class, which is English for a second language, and there's Haitians, there's Chinese, there's Colombian, from Brazil.
It's a blended pot.
Man, I was like, this is going to be interesting. And I think, and I was at the same time scared but excited for the new, right?
What you just said is what drew me to move here to South Florida is that I wanted to be around first.
So at that time, I was 14 and didn't understand, but I fit in, and I made all kinds of different friends I never had.
Yeah, different walks of life. Learned about things you didn't even know yet.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Adapted to a new system, went through public school, then got to college. Said, I want to get out of here. Let me do this American college thing. I heard it's fun.
We'll play the game.
Let's go. Let's do it. I've always been exploring and even lived in.
What was your degree?
I started off with international business.
Okay.
Right? Because I already knew 3 languages at the time. Then I fell in love with Italian language, and I went to study in Italy for a couple semesters there, and I picked up Italian. And at that point, I just had a double major in Italian language and international business. But the business was kind of to follow my dad's footsteps, to be honest. He was always
kind of the corporate man.
He was a corporate man. That's all he knew.
No, and look, that was a generation.
Yeah.
Post-World War II, there was this chronological order of things that you went through. You got your college degree, you got married, you got a job, you got a house, you started a family, you retired, and you moved to Fort Lauderdale and got a condo.
Right.
So, and I tell people, young people, I hear them go, the baby boomers, and look, that was then, this is now. So you tried it. You went the college route. And then what happens at the point where you get out of college? Now what happens?
So during college, I, especially going to Europe, living in Italy, I've always liked photography. My dad always had a camera around, and I even at one point said, hey, Dad, I think I'm going to study photography. He's like, oh, do you know how many photographers are starving to death? That kind of, because he was a corporate man. I was like, all right, we did this business thing, but deep inside, I was always a creative. Wanted to be around that kind of people. But finished college, got a great job at a startup, now known as Yahoo. Well, it was the job engine, hotjobs.com. I was living the life, tons of money.
6-figure job.
And like out of college, we're wearing sandals to the office and the gables, and I was just like, but I saw what was inside. It was still this big corporation that just didn't give a shit. They just want to make money, man, and close as many accounts as possible. The sales team, everybody's just going after. I was just like, I don't want to be part of it, man. I don't want to, this is not for me. Sold everything I had, moved to Brazil. Back to Brazil, had a girlfriend that definitely had an influence. But I said, let me restart.
There's only two reasons why you move: love and money.
Yeah. So, but let me restart. I need a break from this corporate life. I didn't know if I wanted to go back to school. But photography was always there, man. It was always part of my lifestyle. Was just take pictures for no reason, for free. That's the only thing I would spend money on outside of my, day to day. So went to Brazil, spent about 6 months on the beach there doing nothing. Taught a few English classes at that time just to stay busy. But, got to a point I was like, man, I'm really lost now. I need to go back, but I needed to be away from my friends. The plan, so I get back here and I had a plan. I said, you know what? I do need a job, right? I need a stable.
You gotta crack the net every month,
right? And exactly. And at that point, my dad did one of the most important things in my life. When I went back home, and he goes, "Yeah, you're welcome to stay here, but you're paying rent, man." I say, "What? You bastard!" Like, I'm your son. He's like, "Yeah, but you got a college degree and you're 20-something years."
He's been laying on the beach for you.
It's like, I'm going to get out of here. It's like, good. So I got another corporate job, but I knew that the job I wanted, I was already an account manager at the job site. And so I picked up a lot of skills there. As I said, but I need to be outside, man. I don't want to be in an office all day. So I picked up an account manager job, like an outside sales rep for Masco Corporation's gigantic hardware company that owns Delta Faucets and all that. And the job was amazing. My boss was in Orlando. I had to work about 4 or 5 hours a day, just pull out my reports, visit retail stores. So I had a lot of time. So I bought my first book on photography and the business of photography, and it said, How to Become a Freelance Photographer. That was the title. I still have that in my bookshelf. And then I said, man, it's doable. It's not just about taking pictures. And then sure enough, I started going on Craigslist and assisting photographers for free on weekends. And I said, man, I'm going to give myself, a year just to get in there. And then funny enough, at that time I was living in South Beach. There was a photo studio, one of the biggest photo studios in Miami called Splashlight, which is here in Wynwood now. And I went there, knocked on the door, said, I want to work here. This is what you guys do, this is commercial photography. That's it. And then they're like, damn, let's see your resume. He's like, man, you're a corporate guy. It's like, no, I need a restart,
You were sure you wanted to be a talent hire.
Right. So
something about your resume, it's like taking an investment.
Yeah. I said, don't. I said, and I said, you know what? I'm going to take 2 weeks off of work, vacation time. I'm going to work here. I'm going to prove to you that I'm good. And I'm going to see if I like it too, right? Obviously, you never know. So that's what I did, man. In 3 days, I already gave my, resignation from my company. I said, thanks, boss, but I found at least an environment that I like. And, man, I got in there, started driving trucks, delivering photo equipment, lighting gear, cameras, everything. And in 6 months, I became the manager because the manager got fired. There's a lot of problems inside the company. And from being a manager there for 4 years, I started a business within that business, which was doing photography for events. So we were doing production, commercial photo shoots, celebrity stuff. We were managing the studio and the equipment side. But then in the summer, it was really dead here in Miami, in that industry. So I started a photo business. My boss at the time, he gave me a lot of freedom. And he said, hey, use our equipment, use your time. So he was always a very hands-off manager, which was great. He didn't even live in Miami. So I ran that business like it was mine. And everybody thought I owned it, Yeah. But then I went on my own. So I saw that event business, so that's when I built my first photo booth.
Gotcha.
2010.
And this is a fully self-automated or self-contained automated photo booth.
It's for events. It's not there's so many now, but at the time you just always need someone to direct people. But yeah, it has a touchscreen that takes pictures, it prints automatically. Absolutely. Yeah. But with the fashion photography lighting. So we took this to another level, a upscale. And people loved it. This was when, social media started coming out. And I was like, well, people might love pictures. So that's when I started, man. Yeah, but a high quality selfie. That was always the thing. We don't take selfies, we take real pictures. And instant printing and all that. And man, and then one photo booth, 4 years later, we was a 50-50 partnership with the owner of the studio. I bought him out. The day I got married, so I met my wife, amazing person, supportive from day one, and she cashed out her 401k. I took all the money I had. I said, this is the time to buy him out. So the same day I got married, which was December 31st, 2012, was the day we signed the contract that I was taking over the whole photo partnership.
So long.
It was so then I was like, all right, now this is ours. I'm going to let me stay. And I know the vision. I saw the vision. I saw that in the future, people will need more and more photos of become more disposable, but people still want good quality. Yeah. Sure enough. So I was doing a lot of like private events and wedding and mitzvahs. So now the company evolved. I have offices Miami, LA, and New York. We're doing mostly what we call branded content.
Sure, I know exactly what that is.
And we create awesome experiences, photos, videos, augmented reality, anything that creates entertainment and creates a branded content that people take away and receive on their phone, But I'm still doing all the other events too. I have basically 2 companies that have different price points. But so that's my story, man. That's how I got here. And
it's a freaking American dream.
Yeah, it is. And we recently, to complete it, bought an awesome house in Coral Gables. My wife is an interior designer, so we got something small and turned into a big lot. And absolutely, I feel like this is what this is about.
You represent why it is. I mean, I've had some amazing interviews this morning. Each one of them was, humbling. And you are why I want to do this show. Because I want to be able to show, we're looking at, there's white papers, and I'm tired of quoting this because it's getting tiring, but there's white papers that are being pushed out right now that say that, machine learning and automation and AI is going to eliminate half the jobs in America in the next decade or well, that's kind of a good thing, is because that's going to force some people out of their comfort zone.
Correct.
Because, you're going to graduate from college and realize that there really aren't that many open doors. And what I've wanted to do is I've wanted to create some sort of a platform, an open source place where everybody's free to just kind of exchange ideas. But the most important thing is that there's somebody someplace that says, I can't do it. I can't be an entrepreneur. Or I don't know anything. What is it that I can do that would be, dude, you build a business around photography.
Right.
I mean, I don't mean to minimize what you did in any way, shape, or form, but people have this idea, and I'm going to bash on capital right here for just a second. This perpetual pursuit of the unicorn. In the world of finance, it's looking for that next $1 billion deal where you put in $150K and the company goes public in 8 years and you pull out, $500 million or some ridiculous number. That's all well and good. But if we lose half the jobs in America, then that means that we've got to recreate 100 million jobs. And that's not going to be high-flying companies. It's going to be meat and potatoes companies. Go around and do events. And
we create jobs for photographers.
That's right.
So now I have over 70 machines around the country, and photographers, when they don't have a gig, guess what? They jump in our events, and sometimes it's week-long jobs, and everybody's getting paid and using their knowledge.
That's right.
And, absolutely.
You're a job creator. I mean, that's what it's going to take. In order to, we're at a major inflection point in our society. I really think someday, maybe people are already doing this, but I really think someday we're going to look back at the 80s when the computer came to be and go, wow, that was so much bigger than we even grasped. Okay. So we're at this major inflection point, and the beautiful part about it is if we can go out and turn this into a 21st century business model. The next chapter of who we are as a society, turn this into a 21st century business model. That's what you've done. you're a 21st century business model. You know, you're making something, you're doing something, just not in the traditional manner. And that's you are a mentor. You are somebody that I really, really wanted to get on this show, and I'm totally stoked. Thank you very much. I would love to. We're running out of time this morning. Everybody started running just incrementally, and pretty soon we were behind by 15, 20 minutes. But
That's far Miami.
part of the deal. I would really like to have you come back and do another follow up. Go out in the world and collect some more stories and come back. Look, 21st century America is going to look like you. That's just the reality, and we need more of those role models. Thank you.
Was it?
Thank you, Darren. Good one.
All right.
Thank you.